Hey everyone, welcome to Al's Adventures. And today, folks, I had a wonderful opportunity interviewing a guy who played with Willie Mays. He's going to tell you a very heartwarming story about Willie Mays' glove. They actually played minor league ball with Willie at Fort Eustis. So this guy, lives in Brooklyn and lifelong Brooklyn guy, has a lot of great stories to tell, and I had the wonderful opportunity to interview him today. Tragic loss of Willie Mays. Never forget watching him play as a Met. I'm a huge Mets fan, so stay tuned. Hope you enjoy the video. I know you will. This guy, Donald, is very heartwarming, and just enjoy the video. And sorry to hear the loss of Willie Mays today, and all our blessings and thoughts to his family.
News preceding it. Willie and I played baseball together at Fort Eustis, and also at I played with him. He asked me to join his all African American team. So I was sort of the Jackie Robinson in reverse for this Newport News Royals, they call it. But while I was with the Newport News, with Fort Eustis is the Army place. While I was with them, the strings in my glove broke, okay? And just prior to that, Willie's mother passed away. And he had to drive down to, I think it was Birmingham where she was, and come back. But on his way back, he wrecked the car, totaled it, and broke his foot, which meant that he had to not play for a very short amount of time. Well, he broke his foot, I broke the strings on my glove, and I needed it for that day's ball game at Fort Eustis. Well, as it turns out, I tried every guy's glove in the place that wasn't playing that day, and some of them had more than one glove, until I got to Willie's. He was there, was unable to play, and his glove fit me like a glove. Okay, it was just perfect. That's unusual for people to use someone else's glove. At which point, I borrowed his glove until I fixed this, or had the strings on my glove fixed. And that was in 1953. I just never returned it. And I'm trying to get in touch with him to, honestly return the glove. After all, I have guilt feelings, on that, but I really don't feel guilty, truly. At any rate, that's the story of the glove with Willie Mays. Now, the interesting thing is, and the foolish thing I did, I used it during it with both teams, and there's no way of knowing that it's Willie Mays' glove. I knew it, and of course he knew it, because on the thumb, he had 24, and 24 was his number with the Giants, and here is the glove. Well, it started to, tear up on the inside just from age, so I decided to oil it. And I got an oil that I thought would be transparent, that type of thing. Well, it didn't. It just turned black. And as a result, under here, I know there's a 24. And people say, well, why don't you get a, DNA? And as it turned out, I never did that. This is Willie Mays and I at the Polo Grounds, right after we got out of the Army.
Let me zoom on that. That's an amazing picture, Donald.
Because we both had contracts. I had a contract to go to school, and he had a contract to play with the Giants. Yeah, we played in 53. We both got out in 50. And with Willie Mays, go back to him, here we go. What we did, we were in Fort Eustis, which was a drive to New York. He lived in Harlem. So, and he wasn't happy about driving. He didn't like to drive. He'd rather sleep in a car and have somebody else drive it. I was the guy to somebody else. So I would drive him and us, because I lived in New York as well, in Brooklyn. And we'd drive, and I'd drive him to Harlem, to his apartment. And as it turns out, he told me, when you come back to go back to Fort Eustis, knock on my window, because here was the apartment house, and here was the window right there on the first floor next to the apartment house. No problem. And by the way, this was a street where Willie Mays is very famous for playing stickball with the kids, okay, that's what he did. But at any rate, I came to pick him up, I guess it may have been on a Monday morning, I don't remember the date. Knock on the window, nothing. Knock on the window, nothing. Then I remember, from all the away games we had, he wasn't in my barracks at camp, but when the team went away and we traveled, everybody was together in somebody's barracks in whatever team it was. Then I remember this guy who was a tough sleeper. I mean, you, okay? So fortunately, the window had this wooden thing, like most of these windows. Bang, bang, bang. I had to bang. If I hit the glass, it would break, So as it turns out, he was awake. And you knew he was awake because one of the things he got kidded about all the time was whenever he woke up, he didn't just wake up, he would wake up and snorted. For whatever reason, who the hell knows why he would snort, but that's what he did. And when I heard the snort, I knew he was awake. And that was another story of Willie. And the other story was on these trips that I took. Where was I? I just got out of college, so I was early 20s. So as it turns out, I would drive, and we'd leave early from camp, okay, and head north. And at one place or another, I'd stop, let's get a cup of coffee or a bagel or whatever it was. And he'd be in the back sleepy. He'd say, "Oh, get me a glass of milk." He didn't drink coffee. "Get me a glass of milk and a donut." I forgot what it was. But I knew he didn't drink coffee from that point on. And so I went in, got the glass, and we came back in the car. I didn't stay at the restaurant an hour. And then it dawned upon me after the first or second trip that the reason he wasn't getting out of the car is because we were in the South. And we had to wait until we crossed the Mason-Dixon line, which is southern Pennsylvania, basically, before I could eat, before I would eat. But that was one of the stories that, as a kid growing up, you're not prejudiced because you don't care, you don't know. Of course, an example of what was going on our team, on the Brooklyn, this was the Journal American team. And I was reading it today, or rereading it mostly, and it said, I forgot his first name, but Sanders was our first baseman, a young kid like me. But they don't mention Sanders' name without mentioning Negro. He was a Negro. He was the only Negro on either team. And unfortunately, we stayed a lot of nights at that place, at the Hotel New Yorker. I don't know if it's still there. I think it might be. I don't know what it is now. But at the time, it was a big hotel, a big fancy hotel. He couldn't stay there, okay? And we ate at the Hotel New Yorker. He couldn't eat there. He had to eat in the kitchen. And this is 1947, okay? Things obviously have changed a little bit. They're certainly not where they should be, but in his case, it was sad, and some of us at one time or another were in the kitchen ate. It's just as good. The food is perfect, everything was good. But it was then I think I began to realize that somewhere inside, I probably had my own prejudices as well, only because I never saw anybody of another race. I lived in a neighborhood, there was nobody of another race, and that was it. But at any rate, that's another story that helped me in baseball in many ways.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for joining me. Special thanks to Don via Skype for doing this interview with me. It was long overdue, and when I heard Willie died today, just had to do the interview and put this out there. And again, I can't even begin to tell you the thrill. And the Mets actually went to the World Series that year in '73 when I saw Willie play, and just best player I ever saw play in my entire life. So have a great day, folks. I appreciate you. Love you. Thanks for joining me. And hit that subscribe button and drop me a like and let me know what you thought of the video. Take care, folks. Play ball.